To include my son's name? Okay. Ready? My name is Gilda Baker. My son's name is Diallo Neal. Diallo's life was stolen. I am a survivor of police terror. What I know happened? What I know is that the police lied. Diallo left my home. He was visiting me the day before his birthday, about to take a motorcycle ride with a friend of his. I actually saw him before he left. I looked out my door and he was getting ready to get on the bike, him and his friend named Daryl. Later that night, I got a phone call from Highland Hospital saying my son had been brought in trauma. Trauma has taken on a whole new meaning because I was okay, you know. I said, okay, I'll be there. And when she asked, was I okay to ride by myself? And I was like, sure. I didn't know what was going on. So I drove to the hospital, but we always call each other family members, and I called everybody to say, Diallo's been in an accident. Meet me at Highland. Let's see how he's doing. Even when they put us in a room, it didn't hit me. We had to wait for the doctor to come in. And when the doctor came in, he said that Diallo didn't make it. Witnesses said California Highway Patrol hit my son and left the scene. The very first opportunity I had, I went to the California Highway Patrol office on Telegraph in Oakland and asked them, and they act like they didn't know what I was talking about. I spoke with a Sergeant Wong, I believe his name was, who told me that all of his officers were accounted for, that they weren't involved. Because they exited the 580 freeway and ended up on a city street, which is where my son died, on Coolidge and MacArthur, the city of Oakland was actually responsible for the investigation, I've learned. So I contacted them, and they too said that the CHP was not involved. Okay, so I just didn't believe that they were. I felt powerless. I felt if anybody could help, it would be the attorney. And when he didn't, it just made me think, well, police couldn't be involved if the attorney wouldn't do anything about it. Attorney Burris, the private investigator that they hired, brought a black bag to my home. I thought bloody clothes. I couldn't throw them away, but you know, I didn't want to look at everything. So I put them in my basement. What I didn't realize was that the private investigator's report, the coroner's report, everything was in that black bag. It was 5 years later that I really kind of started to pay attention, because I really became despondent over my son. And when I started to feel better, I went to my basement, retrieved those items, and that's when I started to look through everything that I had, and I realized something was really wrong. I found in one of the statements by an Oakland police officer is that CHP took control of the investigation. Kind of means they were there. they were involved. You know, they actually conducted the interview. And I'm sorry because it kind of feels like I should have known more at the time, but I didn't. The things that the police say are completely false in comparison to what the first responders say. The police said my son was going 100 miles an hour. Not true. In the footage of his motorcycle, the speedometer stopped on, I think it was 35 or 45. But that means he couldn't have been going 100. When the bike crashed, it stopped on 45 or 35 miles an hour. Because of the half helmet, them being able to see where the location where he was at. Yeah, I think he, you know, whoever struck him clearly knew he was African American. The witnesses described a white male as the officer who struck my son. I started to contact attorneys. No one would take it. No one would even listen. So I personally filed a civil claim, pro se, and went all the way to a court of appeal. I just didn't have the energy to go to the Supreme Court. I was too exhausted and not knowledgeable enough to continue to pursue it. But in each instance, from district court to appeal court, I was told the statute of limitations had expired, but I still never got what I've been needing, which is them to tell the truth that they did it. They're breaking the law every day, every single day, when they don't tell the truth of what happened. How dare them be allowed to lie, cover it up, and then tell me about a statute of limitation. On what? What are you saying? What is the statute of limitations on? I don't get that part. I want the truth. I want them to tell the truth. That's what I want. Law enforcement should not be able to lie, cover up, and destroy families. You know, I want the truth. I want them to say what they did and to own it. Yes. Come forth. Tell your story. It's important. You know, I understand feeling powerless, but talk, just tell somebody, you know, because our children need to know that we care enough to at least try and get the truth out. And it's not always them, you know, that they're bad, you know, the whole image of how they portray African Americans. At least get the respect we're deserving. Because all lives matter, but Black lives matter too, you know. And people say, oh, your son would want you to live. My son was a fighter too. He would want me to fight. Not to the point of destroying myself, but definitely he appreciated the fight.